We turn now to a new office at the state level focused on creating family-friendly policies. Aimee Winder Newton is the director, here to get us up to date on the work they are doing. Aimee, great to have you on the show. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I say new, I guess I should probably say fairly new, because this started all in September of last year, but it's a concept that had kind of been developing in the governor's mind. Talk about briefly a summary on what the Office of Families is.
Well, the governor knows how important it is for us to have strong families. It's the least expensive way for government to, or it's way less expensive than what government costs to fix problems later. And so the whole purpose of this is to strengthen families proactively in an upstream manner and be involved in looking at ways that we can cut issues that are causing problems for families, but also to be able to look at ways that we can proactively strengthen them. We don't want to spend all this money later to fix problems that come when kids come from unstable homes. And so that's really the purpose, is to have that focus.
So this was an appointed position. The governor comes to you, says, are you interested? You agreed to do it. Why were you interested in a position like this?
Well, I'm kind of a policy nerd. And so anytime I can look at ways that we can better people's lives through better policy and government, I'm excited. I think it's great. And I love families. I believe in the effort. I think Governor Cox has a great vision. And this is something that I really believe in. So I was excited to get to work.
And you've also raised children, so you know what it's like to go through that process. How much of a role does that play as you're working in this position?
I mean, I think it's always great to have our own personal perspectives on things that happen to us and our families, but my family's very different than a lot of the families in Utah. I mean, when we talk about things that we can do to help our families, a lot of the things that are costing taxpayers a lot of money later in social services are things that we can prevent by helping to strengthen vulnerable families in particular. And so one of the things that we pitched to the legislature and that they agreed to help fund was a home visiting program for our most vulnerable families. These would be families on WIC or Medicaid, moms who have new babies. We want to help give them the support in their home. And so there's different programs that are operating where you can have a nurse or another person come and give them support, help them figure out developmentally if their child is in line with where they should be, check on the mother's mental health. And so this is something that we think is really important. I mean, we know a baby's brain is 80% developed by the time they're 3. And the more we can prevent trauma or other things in their young life, the better off that they'll be in the long run.
That's one part of a 5-part focus that your office has. Before we get into the other parts, so I want to talk a little bit more about what you just mentioned, and that is working with the legislature. What is your role, and how do you go about helping push for these family-friendly policies in the state of Utah?
Well, of course, the governor and I meet. We talk about our priorities and which direction we want to go. And then if there's a funding request or if there's legislation that's needed, you know, we work to find good legislators that can help us and get them on board with this. And luckily, you know, I feel like we have a lot of legislators that are very pro-family. And so it's been great to have the support there. Okay,
so one of the focuses, there are 5 of them, as I mentioned, you brought that up already, providing support to vulnerable families with younger children. Another one is increasing child care options. That's really a big issue right now, especially when you talk about barriers into the workforce and parents being able to really support their families. Talk about, first off, what the goal there is, and then how do you go about implementing it?
Well, ideally, we'd love to ensure that there's high quality childcare for those who need it or want it. But we also have family members who choose to stay home, and they're giving up an income by choosing to stay home and take care of their children. And so what we don't want to do is create an issue where we're taking tax dollars from this family to subsidize childcare providers for other families. We've got to look at ways that we can cut down red tape. You know, sometimes we have childcare providers who are having a hard time figuring out how they can build facilities because there's so much government bureaucracy and red tape. There's other things that are great options like child tax credits. So we helped to champion a child tax credit bill by Representative Pulsifer that gave a credit to all families with children, young children. So there's things like that that we can do to help all families with young children. We know that those are the families that usually are the most strapped, is couples who have, or single parents who have just, you know, young children under 6, aren't in school yet. And so those are really high focus areas for us.
Yeah, the Salt Lake Chamber recently released a report focused specifically on that and really looking into and digging into the barrier. And in a lot of cases, someone takes a look at how much childcare costs versus how much they're going to make, and then they have to decide, is it even worth it to do that?
Right.
So when you talk about affordability, what are some things we can do?
Well, one of the things that we want to do, first of all, is make sure that families can choose what they think is best. So like you mentioned, if we have some people who would like to work and feel like that's best for their family, we want to make sure that there's options out there for good, high-quality childcare. If they choose to stay home, that's an option as well. Affordability, that gets tricky. I mean, right now, a lot of our childcare providers are receiving federal dollars because of COVID, and that'll run out in a year and a half. And so we're looking right now at what are the solutions to help encourage, and employers is a big piece. How do we help encourage employers to look at childcare stipends for employees who need it and get involved there as well?
Youth mental health, that's something you and I have talked about for quite a while. I remember meeting you out at the county building probably about 5 or 6 years ago for an issue you were working on with your other job as a Salt Lake County councilwoman. But youth mental health, talk about the issue that we are facing. Paint it for us here in our state.
Well, we are seeing more and more kids in our state who are lonelier than ever before. We have data that shows our kids aren't getting enough sleep at night, that they are struggling with suicide ideation, self-harm, and those numbers have skyrocketed since about 2010 when social media came on the forefront. And so as the governor has looked at where he feels like what's impacting our youth the most, it's social media. And that's been a big focus of his, is to look at ways that we can reduce the amount of usage for our kids on social media, because they're trading out those in-person relationships with their friends for just being on their phone, and it's not good for them. The things they're being exposed to, the algorithms that are addictive, it's causing a lot of problems. And so one of the things I got to be involved in was the social media bills this last legislative session.
Those have been big national stories.
Yeah, it was a lot of work and a lot of fun to be able to look at what can we do to kind of rein that in, ensure parents have the ability to make decisions for their kids on how they're using social media. And then we'll be also doing a campaign to help educate the state, parents in particular, on how to better use social media with their children and what they can do to help as well. And ironically, one of the things that's affecting our kids' mental health is the amount of time their parents are on their phones using social media. So pretty hard to compete with Instagram for mom's attention or dad's attention, and that's something we hope our Utah parents will look at as well.
Foundation, helping build a foundation for young adults as they transition into a new phase of life. What are you looking at there?
So the Brookings Institution came out with the success sequence that says that if a young adult will graduate high school, engage full-time in the workforce, and get married before having children, they have a 97% chance of not being in poverty. And so looking at that, of how we can ensure our kids are getting the education that they need, the engagement in the workforce, those are things that are priorities. One of the things that we can do better is introducing kids to trades and other programs earlier in their high school year. And so we're looking at stakeholders who are involved in this. We're trying to get people together who are working in this space so that we can make some headway there.
Big focus on maybe college isn't for everyone, and you can get into those technical fields as well. Okay, we have about a minute left, but I want to hit the last one real quick, and that is family-friendly policies within the workplace. We've seen really, especially the government, evolve in this area, but what are you seeing in the private sector as well?
So one of the things that we really want to encourage our business community to do is to embrace this idea that Utah is a better place when we are the best state for families. And that's ultimately what we're trying to achieve. And that means helping to focus on the needs of parents too. So parental leave is a big deal for both moms and dads. I talked about childcare stipends, flexible hybrid work schedules. We want to encourage our business community to participate with us in ensuring Utah is the best state for families.
All right, interesting stuff. We will continue to follow the progress as it goes along. Thanks so much for your insight this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you.